Hey YouTube, welcome to the channel. My name is Rich. Today we are out for some throttle therapy. Name of the channel is Rich the Return Rider. For all you folks that's here for the first time, thanks for tuning in. For all of you folks that are return viewers, I appreciate you coming back. For all that have subscribed to the channel so far, appreciate your support. For you folks that haven't yet subscribed, guys, hit that subscribe button so we can continue to bring you some of this content. Takes nothing off you to hit that button, folks, so we can keep this content going. So today, I'm coming to you out of Lake City, Florida, again. And I am on my 2019 Honda Goldwing Ruby. And what we're going to be talking about today, folks, is riding in this heat and staying hydrated. I've recently done a video talking about riding the Goldwing in the heat. And in that video, I also referenced, for you folks that don't know, I don't know how you wouldn't know about MC Rider, a guy named Kevin. As a matter of fact, this is Friday, so I'm sure he's putting a video out as we're speaking here. But he also talked about riding in the heat, some tips and tricks of riding in the heat. I always start my ride out, folks, trying to get a little bit of a U-turn in and a little bit of emergency braking. Anyway, folks, yeah, let's get back to the topic here. Yeah, he did a video giving tips and tricks about riding in the heat, the appropriate gear to wear, but most of all, staying hydrated. And that's what I want to talk about today. I'm also going to mention incident that happened to me a couple of years ago. Hence the name of the video there. Heat exhaustion or heart attack. The symptoms can be very similar. But yeah, let's talk about it, folks. Now, in that video that I did, again, in the comment section, folks, always great stuff in that comment section. Great information. But yeah, somebody did reference, as I was talking about my big gulp here. Right now, what I have in it is some iced tea, green tea, and water. But yeah, as I was talking about my big gulp here, someone mentioned in the comment section that on days of riding to stay hydrated, that just is not enough. So again, ooh, look at that rabbit. Yeah, wildlife out here, folks. Always got to be looking out for the unexpected. But yeah, so what the person was talking about is something that I used years ago as I was, well, not an avid cyclist, but I did quite a bit of bicycle riding, and it's hydration packs, referred to also as camel backs. And what this is, guys, is a backpack with a bladder that you can put your fluids in. You can stick the sippy straw in your helmet, and as you are riding on those long trips, man, you can just be sipping away to stay hydrated. The importance of staying hydrated, folks, I'm telling you, it's today, this is about it's probably about 9:50 now. Temperature is 85 degrees. In some parts of Florida here, we are going to be in the triple digits by, they said, around 12 o'clock. That's crazy, man. And what we're seeing more and more coming into the hospital, I am a hospital worker, and we are seeing folks come in dehydrated, close to the point where they are looking at possibly having heat strokes. And one of the things I'm going to piggyback on here, as Kevin was talking about staying hydrated, is he also referenced something that we call back in the days of riding bicycles and cycling, prehydrating. I even saw that on the news this morning as they were talking about the athletes at the schools playing football, soccer, and so forth, with the doctor explaining that being hydrated the day before your activities is just as important as staying hydrated during that day. Kevin, as he was talking about drinking water from that day before and possibly adding a little bit of salt in it so we can get some sodium in our system. Now, what I'm going to say about that, folks, is that sometimes salt is just not the only thing that is necessary for our systems. But having that water and having your system adequately hydrated is a great thing. It is said that 70% of folks here in the U.S. are chronically dehydrated. Now, when I first heard that, I thought that was something pertaining to a condition with me. But hey, it's just something that the doctors and the scientists are saying. 70% of us are chronically dehydrated. And you know, I want to draw a reference here to us with these motorcycles and do the comparison with us in our bodies. Now, hypovolemia is the term they will use if you come into the emergency rooms and you are not adequately hydrated. And that just means a low volume of fluids. And these are the fluids that we need to carry nutrient-filled blood, oxygen, and so forth to our crucial organs. Our brain, our lungs, our kidneys, our heart. But so when Kevin mentioned adding a little bit of sodium or a little bit of salt to the water, I'm going to say to that, adding a little bit more of electrolytes, sodium, a little bit of glucose, a little bit of potassium, folks. The things that are necessary to maintain homeostasis in our bodies to make sure everything is effectively working. Yeah, but back to the motorcycle analogy. I'm all over the place. I'm sorry, folks. But not having enough fluids in our bodies is like not having enough oil in our motorcycles. There is none of us in our right minds that's going to jump out there if we see that engine light comes on saying low oil, that we are going to get out there and ride our babies. That low oil indication means possible trouble. That our internals is going to heat up. And we know when it comes to mechanical stuff, guys, heat and friction is the enemy. And it's no different with our bodies. The same way that heat will tear these engines and transmissions up, it will tear, well, not tear, but it will shut down part of the crucial organs in our bodies. Guys, I'm just out cruising this morning, getting some throttle therapy in. No specific destination in mind, even though I am going to stop at one of my favorite stores, Tractor Supply. But yeah, hypovolemia, not enough fluids in the body. I don't know what we will call it for our automobiles, our cars, trucks, and motorcycles. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share experience that I had with you in the past, hence the name of that title there again. Heart attack, or just chronically, or just dehydrated. And in that case, extremely dehydrated. So like I said, years ago, I did quite a bit of cycling, bicycles. As I was training for the MS 150, one of the things that I learned back in those days was the art of staying hydrated. And it wasn't just with water, guys. We used Gatorade. We used Pedialyte. I see there's something out now called Kindle Light, whatever that is. But for a lot of folks, stuff like Gatorade, because it have a certain amount of sugar in it, is something that we avoid. What I'm going to recommend, guys, is if you're worried about the sugar content and you're using those camel packs, dilute the Gatorade with some water. In some cases, you could buy the Powerades and so forth, but these things that have the electrolyte replacements in them, by using the zero ones, but we know that's another topic of discussion when it comes to the artificial sweeteners. I'm not going to get into that. But Pedialyte now they said have the right amount of, is said to have the right amount of electrolytes that our bodies need. This is something created by a company called Abbott Laboratories, and it was created for kids that might be vomiting, might have diarrhea, but dehydration, folks, is something that will shut your body down. So yeah, getting back to my experience with it, on some days of training for something called the MS 150, the multiple sclerosis 150, we rode up to 200 miles some weeks, and it's in these summer times, to train for those events through the hills and the trails and stuff like that of Orlando, Florida, Claremont. But the electrolyte replacement in these real extreme temperatures are important. Now, I've been away for riding approximately a year, and I decided I was going to take my bicycle to work. I'm working in Gainesville at the time. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get off of work. I'm going to get halfway home. I'm going to jump on a place called Alena Park, and I'm going to ride the trail all the way to an area of Florida called Fort White. The plan on this specific day is to get I'll say about 12 miles in the morning after a 12-hour shift. So I loaded my bike up and I put it in my SUV, went through the night and drank X amount of water. But the first mistake, folks, was drinking coffee. Caffeine is a diuretic, and it is one of those things that will cause you to start urinating more frequently than normal. Caffeine is one of the first things that will start your dehydration process. Mistake number one. Got off the morning, got to the trail, unloaded the bike. I could feel the heat was going to be a factor, so I started drinking my little bottle of water. And that's all I had on that specific day, guys, some water. And as I started to ride, I started having flashbacks to doing those longer rides, so I decided to turn that 12-mile ride into a 24-mile ride. Now, nice and leisurely on the way out, but on the way back, decided that I'm going to pick the pace up just a little bit and probably get to more of 16 to 18-mile average on the bike. You know, started to feel a little jiggy with it. And started to feel a little bit of exhaustion coming close to the end of that ride. I'm now out of water, and the heat is starting to settle in. Started getting a slight migraine. Started feeling a little wonky, as they will say. So, got off the bike, loaded the bike in my truck, started heading home, was sweating profusely. And mistake number two came. Instead of stopping and buying maybe some sports drinks or starting my hydration process, the only thing I could think about, guys, was getting to the shower and cooling off. Got home, loaded the bike in the garage, jumped in the shower. Now started to feel a little lightheaded, started to feel a little nauseated. Called the wife that worked about 10 minutes up the street and tell her, hey, you know what, just check in around lunchtime on me just to make sure everything is all right. I'm not feeling quite my normal. So took the shower, came out, got in the bed. Felt uncomfortable laying on the bed, so I got on the floor. And kind of fell asleep on the floor. Don't recall if I was on the floor or in the bed when she came home. But all I remember is her waking me up, asking me how I felt, and at this point I felt worse. We decided that the appropriate thing to do was to go and get checked out. Now, I knew that once they got some fluids in me, that I would feel a little better. But I had a different reaction to the dehydration episodes I've had in the past. I felt a little bit of heart flutter and so forth. Chest was feeling a little crazy, like if my heart was either fibbing or what they call fluttering. So instead of going to the local emergency, we decided we would head back down to Gainesville. I wasn't too confident about the local hospital here in Lake City at the time. Went down to the emergency room at North Florida Regional at the time, I think. And the first thing they did, as they're starting the hydration process, they'll start you on some IVs, probably start with some regular salt water, normal saline, they call it. But I knew getting the IVs with me would be the quickest way for me to be hydrated. They also started some testing, EKG or ECG, taking an electrical picture of the heart. They ran what is relatively an expensive test called some troponin, checking the troponin levels. This is a test that will show proteins in the blood if you're having a heart attack, and it's can be a pretty expensive testing. We'll talk a little bit about that at the end here of my little soliloquy. Yeah, but the X-ray or the EKG tech, I think inappropriately said to me, I would be surprised if you don't leave here with some stents in. What that is, folks, is the test that she is running is showing some blockage of my arteries. But what she's basically saying is I'm having a heart attack, and it looked like some of my arteries are blocked. Now, during this hydration process, they ran some labs. They start giving me all the electrolyte replacements. Again, important, the electrolyte replacements. And I came to the conclusion that I was severely dehydrated. Now, after they did all of this, guys, I felt great. I'm ready to go. I need to sign out of here. Let me share a little nugget with you guys. If you go to the hospital in the emergency room and you're having signs of a stroke or any kind of cardiac issues, they will get you right in. The symptoms of these two things especially is something that have to be addressed within a certain period of time before real damage starts to occur. They'll get you right in. But the other part about that is they will also have to keep you over a certain period of time, I think 24 hours or so, to do some observation. Now, I was fought a little bit against that. I was willing to sign out against medical advice. They call it AMA because I felt great at this point. The idea that you guys are going to be treating me for a heart attack is pretty scary, folks. So, what I saw was a cardiologist that we decided we will be doing something called a stress test. They put you on a treadmill, and you're going to be on that treadmill like a hamster running on the wheel, just to get your heart into a certain range so they can do some testing with your heart under load to see if you're really having some heart issues. Now, being the active person that I was at the time, it took forever to get my heart rate into the range that we can start doing the testing. Cardiologist agreed that I was healthy, that I was probably just dehydrated, agreed to let me go. And I left that hospital, folks, after insurance paying for it, for the day of testing, with a bill of a deductible of about $2,200. So, just saying this, folks, to let you know the importance of hydration, how dehydration could cause other complications, or what appears to be other complications, and one of them is a heart attack, folks. Staying hydrated is key. The other thing that I'm going to say is make sure you give your medical providers as much information about your condition as possible so they have an idea what's going on with you. before they inappropriately treat you for something else. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna make this video. I'm gonna end this video here. I'm already over my time that I allotted for. You know, the thing that I want to mention also, folks, is that as we are talking about our healthcare professionals, man, sometimes the only way that they can adequately diagnose you is by the information that you give them. Nobody knows you better than you. You know what you're involved in. You know what your activities are. These folks are practicing medicine, and they rely on you to give them accurate information to be able to diagnose you. Practice, folks. They're practicing medicine. Our healthcare professionals, as much as they're professionals, they are practicing. So I'm going to end this video with that at hand. And one of the things I'm going to recommend as we get out here to be proficient on these motorcycles is practice. Get in these parking lot, practice the braking and swerving. All of the emergency stuff to keep you safe on these bikes. Come on, folks. Get in the parking lot. Do these advanced safety classes, the braking and swerving especially. And at the end of the day, it's better that you drop these bikes in the concourse or in the parking lot than to crash them out there in the streets. Rich, out on Ruby, the 2019 Honda Goldwing, and I am out. Thanks for tuning in.